Thank you for watching Locked On Bulls. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free wherever podcasts can be found. On today's episode, me and Pat, we're going to get into the Eastern Conference standings, the Bulls' upcoming matchup against the Los Angeles Clippers, and then we're also going to dive into the mailbag from your guys' voicemails. We'll do all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We got Pat the Designer in the building, and I'm here a little bit as well. We're going to get into quite a few topics today, but first we're going to launch right into the Bulls' upcoming game against the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, I was expecting, maybe Paul George wasn't going to be quite Paul George, but he showed in his first game back, hey, no, I'm still Paul George. So, Pat, what do you think about this matchup, man? How do you think the Bulls are going to handle Paul George? What do you expect?
I expect to see Billy Donovan continue to do what he did. We've seen Billy Donovan throw into those games where the Bulls should win a lot of the things that you want to see him do in the games where it matters for the Bulls, right? Mm-hmm. So we saw Patrick Williams play, I would say, probably his high since he's been back, right? 24 minutes, probably his high since he's been back. After having a game where he played 14 minutes, he played 24 minutes in the last game versus the Washington Wizards. I would expect to see a heavy dose of Patrick Williams on Paul George. I would also expect to see a heavy dose of this Bulls defense trying to continue what they did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that the Bulls found a key in something, and I wonder if they're going to continue to go to it. I think this is a game where you can build a lot of confidence in your team. You know that Paul George on a team makes a team not the number 8 seed in the Western Conference. And so I feel like this is a time where this Bulls team can start to build confidence over the next 4 games. And the big thing that they're going to have to do tonight, tonight, is throw Patrick Williams at Paul George as much as possible, win, lose, or draw. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds crazy, right? But in the Eastern Conference right now, if you can get the intangibles and the mental on point for Patrick Williams, he will be the best defender on your team going through this playoffs. I know it sounds crazy with Caruso. Hopefully Lonzo comes back. Ayo Dosunmu, what he's done. But you just see the impact that he has when people come off of a screen and run into him, when he takes over on defense, when he says, I'm going to lock you down one-on-one. And the fact that, let's be real, P. Will doesn't have a lot else to hang his hat on right now. So he wants to prove that, hey, I'm the reason we're going to do this. I think that you're going to see a heavy dose of him on Paul George, win, lose, or draw. And hopefully that turns into something that broods success tonight and over these next few games that the Bulls have coming ahead of them. I think that the biggest thing they can do, and I'd love to hear from you on it, is do you feel like this Bulls team needs to find a way, whether it's Vooch, Zach, or DeMar, but to win these next few games coming up, and especially this Clippers game where Reggie Jackson can absolutely get after you, Markieff Morris, Paul George, to continue to find the hot hand while moving the ball? I feel like that's something we've missed, but I feel like we saw it in that Washington game. Do you think there's that carryover where we're going to see that?
I hope so. I hope that they take what made them successful and learn, hey, we need to do this. Hey, instead of watching DeMar and Zach go to work, let me go ahead and one of the things that Caruso does, and he doesn't score a lot, but one thing that he does is that he's always moving, right? Vooch caught him on a baseline in the last game. Mm-hmm. Like, he does those type of things. He moves, and through ball movement, you get open shots. So, yes, I want to see this team get back to that. I want to see this team, the ball needs to move around. When the ball sticks in any player's hands, right? I don't care if you're DeMar, I don't care if you're Zach, I don't care if you're Vooch. If it just sticks in your hand and once it does, you're either going to shoot it or get fouled, that not only makes you easier to guard, but it also makes the other players not be engaged. You want everybody engaged. When you get players engaged and they feel like they have place in the outcome of every possession, then look, everybody's all in, everybody's doing their thing, everybody's moving out there, and people don't really feel like they don't get cold, right? Because they always touch the ball. They might not always shoot, but I think really the Bulls need to implement something to where before we take a shot, at least 3 players need to touch the ball. And if that happens, I think we'll be all right.
How do you, let me ask you this. Do you feel like Billy's taking more of a hands-on approach?
Oh, absolutely. The last couple of games, absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like in the Cleveland game, we saw it, right? In the Cleveland game, you saw him, hey, run the one. Hey, run it. He was telling them, like, you saw him on the sideline. Oh, snap. I guess we're running the one. Who told you that? Billy, shut up. Just run the one. I'm scared. But do you think you'll see that continued, right? Because I feel like we had that. We didn't see it on the sideline as much, but I feel like we had that in the game versus Washington, where you saw DeMar still trying to go a little bit of one-on-one. But you also saw a legitimate effort from Zach LaVine and Ayo Dosunmu. We got to get the ball to Vooch. If Vooch isn't touching the ball on this drive back up and down the floor, Billy's not going to be happy. So we got to get the ball down to Vooch and do everything we can to keep him rolling on this. So do you feel like Billy's had that much more of a hands-on approach with this team? Because I feel like with that, like, you almost have to limit it, right? Because Ayo Dosunmu doesn't know, hey, I need to tell DeMar, don't take the shot. Because we need to run an offense. Like, he's a rookie. I don't expect that from him. How do you feel about what we've seen in the building out process and the coaching process that we've seen the last couple of games?
I definitely think Billy is taking a more hands-on approach to your point. I also think that Billy is he's varying what he's doing and who he's using in certain situations as well. But I think the players are also shout out to Zach LaVine. Last game, Zach LaVine told Tristan Thompson to shoot the ball, right? To take the shot. And so when you have your players, you're one of your best players doing that, everybody else realizes, hey man, I need to do this. And it also builds confidence in the coaching staff. I think Billy, he saw that this team went left, right? He saw that what was happening with the offense stagnating, and he's saying, hey, listen, maybe I wasn't doing my part. We're calling these plays. When we're up, when we're going well, if you guys are executing well, all right, I'll let the reins go a little bit. You guys go out there, have fun, keep executing. But we're seeing when things get tight, other teams go on runs. Billy's like, hey, no, like you said, run the one, run the two. This is what I need you guys to do. If Billy does that, especially when you go into the playoffs, this is going to make it. Well, forget the playoffs. We got playoff games every last of these 6 games. So
Next 5 games.
Yeah, we need that from Billy, and we need that from the team as well.
And looking at this Clippers game alone, I mean, listen, the Clippers are a team that can get the job done for you. You saw what they did. As crazy as it is to say, and as unfortunate as the situation we're in right now, the Bulls are Eastern Conference Utah right now. I don't know if they stay that way, but they're a team right now that people look at and say, hey, they're good. They're not great. They're beatable. The mistakes they make, they're the same mistakes they've made all year. That's how we're going to beat them. We just saw the Clippers handle Utah. And I'm going to be real with you. I watched that game, and at no point did I ever feel like Utah had a shot. I understand it came down. It was close by the end. Of course, Donovan Mitchell ends up calling a timeout that turns into no timeout. He Chris Webbered himself, right? But I looked at that game, and I felt like the Clippers were in control the entire way, and having Paul George back made that big of an impact. I'm looking at this game coming in, and I don't feel like we're better than Utah anymore. Like, at one point, I was like, yeah, Utah's beatable. They're very beatable. Right now, I feel like we're a beatable team. I need the Bulls to show me that what you did versus Washington is what you can do continuously. And I'm looking at this team coming into this Clippers game saying, hey, listen, they essentially beat your counterpart in the other conference. Can you be better than that? And I think there's such a confidence builder here because of the name that Paul George carries, right? Paul George might not be 100%. Let's be real. He might have just had a great night. He might not be 100%. He's got to fly halfway across the country to come play here in Chicago, where the Bulls at home are 26-10. Shout out to our Bulls at home. That record stunned me this morning. But looking at what they can do, and I feel like, do you feel like it would be a huge confidence builder for P. Will if even Paul George comes over and he has a a mad game just based on the other aspects of it. Like I flew over here. Maybe I'm not 100%. Maybe I'm still feeling the effects of that first game back. But P. Will doesn't know that. P. Will's just like, I just shut down Paul George.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this could be a great game. I think the last game was a good confidence builder. I'm looking to see how Patrick Williams rides out that and how he comes back in this game. Does Patrick Williams start? Probably not. I don't think Billy is right now having his mind on starting Patrick Williams, but it's going to be Patrick Williams and I think Javonte Green on Paul George a lot in tonight's game with a little Alex Caruso as well. But I want to see Patrick Williams come out and be like, hey, look, I know you're Paul George, right? But you're not stronger than me because he's not. Paul George is not stronger than Patrick Williams. You may be a little bit faster than me, but listen, the strength you're gonna have to try to body me, and I want to see Patrick Williams accept that assignment and really shine in those moments.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna get into the wild East is what I'm calling it with the Eastern Conference standings. But first, I want to talk to you guys about connecting with a passionate community of NBA fans and how can you do that? You can do that with NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot is the future of what being an NBA fan looks like. It's part trading card, part stock market, part fantasy sports with a built-in loyalty program. NBA Top Shot has evolved trading cards and made it easier to buy, sell, and trade by removing the hassle of card grading, shoe boxes, and binders. Their 24/7 peer-to-peer marketplace lets you scroll through all of your favorite players and teams. Once you find the moment you've been looking for, you can buy it with a couple of clicks. Now, I hear all the time, why would I buy something that I could watch on YouTube for free? And I tell those people that it's not about watching the highlight. It's about having ownership in the stock market of the NBA's greatest moments. And owning NBA Top Shot moments can get you access to unbuyable once-in-a-lifetime experiences. For example, last year, Top Shot flew a group of fans to Phoenix for Game 5 of the NBA Finals just for having Phoenix Suns moments in their collections. The following week, Top Shot flew a group of fans to New York for the NBA draft, and these collectors got to have dinner with 4 future first-round picks the night before they were drafted and play basketball with the New York Knicks Obi Toppin. If you sign up for Top Shot today, the best way to start is getting yourself a starter pack. You can pull a moment of a superstar like LeBron or KD, or star rookies like Cade Cunningham or even Evan Mobley for $9. Head over to LockedOn.NBATopShot.com to start building your collection today. All right, Pat, let's get into these Eastern Conference standings, man. This is crazy. I don't know when's the last time a conference has been this tight, this close. So right now, Miami Heat, number 1. Milwaukee Bucks, 2. Philadelphia 76ers, 3. There's one game that separates all those teams. Next, it's Boston Celtics, Chicago Bulls, Toronto Raptors, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers and Brooklyn Nets finish rounding that out with 7 and 8. And then we have the Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks will be playing teams with the 9th and 10th spots right now. Now, key thing here, the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers are tied right now, but Philly owns the tiebreaker. So right now we'd be facing Boston in the first round. And also us and Toronto are tied, but we own the tiebreaker over them and Cleveland if Cleveland were to rise up.
Yeah.
What do you think about those conference standings? And I think when you talked before, is Boston the best matchup for the Bulls in the first round out of those teams?
I want y'all to understand the difference right now, bro. The 10 spot in the East is 9.5 games back.
Yeah.
In the Western Conference, the 10 spot is 30 games back.
That's crazy.
That's a half a season, dog.
Wow. That's
the
wild,
10th
man.
spot in the Western Conference right now is 30 games back. While in the East, it's 9.5. That's why I'm laughing so hard. I looked at this earlier and I was dying laughing at this.
That makes no sense, fam. That's crazy, man.
But I mean, listen, it really goes to show you how close the East has been all season, and it's continued to be. I think there's more competition in the East. I don't think there's weaker competition. I think the West is very top-heavy, but I think that there's more competition in the East. And if we're talking about, right, a matchup for the Bulls, if we're talking about the standings right now where the Bulls face, the best case scenario for the Bulls based on what their record is, like I said earlier, 26-10 at home. That is a 72.2% win percentage for the Chicago Bulls in the United Center. Talk about defending the home court, by the way. That is a 72.2% win percentage at the home court. And that means you want to find your way into these top 4 spots. It's going to be tough. You're 2.5 games back right now on the Philadelphia 76ers. You've got to find your way into that spot by beating a lot of your top teams. You've got Boston, you've got Milwaukee, you've got Miami coming down the stretch. Boston and Miami played tonight. You saw what kind of game that is. Do the Bulls belong in that game? That's the question mark on that one right there. You know, are they at that level of competing? But if you're talking about a best matchup right now, I mean, we can say Boston's the best matchup, but watching them tonight versus the Miami Heat, I mean, a team that has given us fits all season, I think Boston is just kind of in that figure it out phase where you first lose a major player. They just lost Robert Williams. It's going to be huge for them, right? So are they the best matchup over Philly? I think Philly's an interesting matchup, right? Because I think the Bulls are a deeper team. Granted, if everyone plays at the level we saw last night versus Washington, but I think that Philly is a deeper team or isn't a deeper team when it comes to the facing the Bulls here. And so to me, maybe that's the best case scenario, the Philly matchup. If you go up against Boston, you're still dealing with these guys and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown who are able to score a ton of points and make things hard for you. And by the way, the former Chicago Bull, Daniel Tice, finally getting his chance to shine over there. He had 17 minutes tonight and 15 points. I think that he's somebody that absolutely makes a huge difference on that team. You're adding in Al Horford, who's a basketball savant. Let's be real, who makes a difference on that team. So I don't think that Boston is as easy of a matchup as we think. I understand the Time Lord isn't there, but when we're looking at Robert Williams, you know what I'm saying? He's still a rookie. He hasn't had that playoff experience either. He hasn't had that big experience either. So to me, I'm looking at what we saw versus even in a losing effort versus Miami is, hey, we're starting to figure out who we can play and what we should play in a playoff series. And you got 6 games left to make that decision coming down the stretch and work out a rotation that you can put up against the Bulls. So I don't know if Boston is the best matchup for us. What are your thoughts on it, bro? How do you feel like we match up with what's currently in the playoff standing?
I want to first correct you on something just because I know they're probably going to try to kill us in the comments. Robert Williams is his 4th year in the NBA.
4th year, my bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. There.
My bad.
I didn't feel like seeing a bunch of actually, I hate the actually people in the comments. So anyway, moving outside of that.
He just figured it out.
But the matchup against Boston is an interesting one because and me and you talked about that on your show today. The Bulls handled Boston in our first matchup.
Yeah.
Now we lost the second matchup by 1 point. I like the Boston matchup better than any team above them. I'm talking that's Philly, Miami, and Milwaukee. So I mean, by the nature of that, I do like the way that we match up. I'm not by any means saying that it's going to be a cakewalk because it's not. I like the way that we match up, but best believe. Because if Jaylen and Tatum get hot without Lonzo being there, I don't know if we have enough to do that to guard them. So I like that you pointed out Al Horford because Al Horford, while on paper, is one of those guys where, like, if you look at the stat sheet, they don't pop out to you anymore. But when you watch basketball, the dude does everything. He's everything.
Tonight, yes.
So it can definitely get interesting. I think the one thing that could dictate the way the Boston series goes for us, if ultimately that is our first round matchup, and I know people are going to hate me saying this, it may rest on Nikola Vucevic and what type of series he has.
I don't disagree. I think that's something that I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of people that are upset by that. I don't think it's a bad thing. Vooch is a good player. Yeah. It's about, are the Bulls going to go to him? Or is DeMar going to defer to him? And here's the thing, right? When the playoffs come around, right, how many people have we seen have a series? The reason you got here, like LeBron won the finals with AD. But let's be real. AD was more of a factor on the Lakers getting to the finals than LeBron was until the NBA Finals, where you needed LeBron to be LeBron James. So a lot of times, and this is the thing I want Bulls fans to understand, like, sometimes you have to have that dude that's not that dude win you a series. Bulls fans, we know this. Nate Robinson won us an NBA series versus the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
You have to have that guy that's unexpected win you a series sometimes. And so maybe Vooch is the unexpected guy in that situation.
JJ Barrera, Roddy Boubar, like these are players that like literally you look back and you're like their careers weren't much, but they absolutely won their team series.
Hey, JJ Barrera was cooking, Brian. I
listen,
don't care what nobody say.
JJ Barrera he channeled the spirit of Allen Iverson and did his thing. Like, yeah, that was a wild
he
series.
Was cooking, Brian. I don't care what nobody say, man. That was ugly, man. Hey,
yeah.
That's funny, dog. That's funny that we got a JJ Barrera reference. Hey, fam, he's one of them players. We got to have a podcast during the offseason, bro, where we do a, hey, who is this guy and why is he relevant?
That's a fact.
To Bulls history. We got to have that pod, bro. Hey, man, before we get into the mailbag where we want to hear from y'all, man. We really want to hear what you guys are saying. We want to tell you guys about BetOnline. After months of playing, college basketball has determined the top teams for the Final Four and will determine this year's national champion this coming week. Let me tell you something about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, you name it. BetOnline remains the best for sports, best spot for all your latest sports development, including podcasts and reviews for the leagues this season. It's not just basketball, though. You know, we talking Bulls and all that. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts, ladies and gentlemen. Go make sure to check out BetOnline.
There you go.
Let's get into these mailbags, bro, because I already know, man.
You
already know. Hey, listen. Did they keep it to a minute and a half or less, bro?
All of them are a minute and a half, or I think except the last one, but all of them relatively kept it at a minute and a half.
Shout out to y'all, bro. We want to get as many in as we can. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to play the first one now.
What's up, Pat? What's up, Haize? This is your boy Jamal back again with another voicemail for you. First off, I do want to apologize to you guys. Between your own individual shows, I forgot to mention to you guys that I called Locked on Bulls more than I would call my own parents some days and some weeks. So you guys are going to have to deal with hearing my voice a lot between your own individual shows and Locked on Bulls. It's all love and everything, and I apologize again if I annoy you, but it's just going to come with the territory. Matt and Big Dave didn't warn you about that. That being said, I want to talk briefly about Patrick Williams and things like that. I know a lot of people are disappointed in him. A lot of people, he wasn't the, I would probably say he, in the list of 30, he probably wasn't even the 30th pick of guys that they should go after. But I just want to let a lot of players know, we treat Patrick Williams like he's a traditional number 4 overall pick, and I don't think he is. I think what AK and Mark Evans we saw in Patrick Williams was a guy who had a lot of raw potential that is molded and honed and crafted in the right way could really truly be the definition of a diamond in the rough. He has a lot of the skills and the size for it, but he's still piecing together everything about it. You know, and it becomes hurtful to him because when you look at the people drafted in his class, you know, LaMelo and Anthony Edwards and all them guys and how they play, it makes him being picked at number 4 look bad. But I think, again, that's because he wasn't picked as a traditional number 4. I don't think Patrick Williams would have been, if we redrafted it, would have been maybe a top 10 pick, but I don't know. I think what it is that Patrick Williams is going to take time to develop and get his aggression right. He's going to have somebody stick a battery in his back. He's going to have to work really hard to reach the potential that he has. But I think he can reach it. I think he just needs to gain more confidence. But I also think it also comes in with the idea of learning what his role is for the team. You know, we got to remember, we drafted him his freshman year in college. He was coming off the bench. He didn't get to start in college. and everything like that. Unlike an Ayo Dosunmu who had like 2 or 3 years of starting and being that guy, or Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball who had already from a young age the idea that you were going to be that guy. He didn't have that. He came in as a role player, and even now, when you look at him play, he still plays more of a, I'm playing within the offense of the team and within the team instead of having that aggression and saying, give me the ball, get out of my way, I'm about to take us to the promised land, and things like that. He didn't come in with the expectations of, you know, when you look at the people drafted in his class, you know, LaMelo and Anthony Edwards and all them guys and how they play, it makes him being picked at number 4 look bad. But I think, again, that's because he wasn't picked as a traditional number 4. I don't think Patrick Williams would have been.
All right. First of all, you got to call your mama. You can't call us more than you call your mama, fam. You got to call your mama. Let's just be clear. You got to call your mama. So
hey, shout out Maul, man. Maul be calling into my show, bro. You definitely need to call your mom.
Yeah, you definitely need to call your mom. But yeah, Jamal, he always he supports like crazy. But you got to call your mama, bro. But the Patrick Williams conversation. Listen, I've ad nauseum I've talked about this with Patrick Williams. Like, yes, we people got to keep in mind, like, Patrick Williams was 19 when he was drafted. It may not be until he's 23, 24. We could very well have another 2 or 3 years before we really know what Patrick Williams is going to be. Now, we need to see progression along those 2 or 3 years, but it could still be a while before we see the pinnacle of what Patrick Williams can be. Pat, where you sit at right now on Jamal's voicemail on Patrick Williams?
I want y'all to understand something about P. Will, right? 2020 draft, you had Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, LaMelo Ball, P. Will. Mm-hmm. Who do you want? Isaac Okoro is a defensive clamp. Guess what? Healthy, P. Will is too.
Yep.
Okongwu, decent player. Killian Haize, Obi Toppin, kind of showing something lately, but for most of the season, man. Denny Avdia. The next player I actually would have taken over him, because I did the draft process and I do the reaction videos on my channel, is Devin Vassell, who also was on his team only because the Bulls needed a point guard at that stage. And I thought Devin Vassell was somebody that comes in, he assisted well. He also shot the ball well. He also, he shot the ball at a ridiculous rate. I think he shot the ball 50% from the field, like 48% from 3. Ridiculous rate. But outside of that, there's not a lot of names on this list. Okay, Cole Anthony, who's kind of been an up and down guy. He's had great moments. He's had ammo. You know what I'm saying? Like, guys that still take time to build up. And guess what? If I'm going to build up anybody, I'm okay with building up Patrick Williams. Like you said, I like your analogy of P. Will. He could be a Luol Deng type player. And I truly feel, based on how I'm watching him play defense off of 3 games back, he has the opportunity where he can be the best defender in the NBA by next season when it's all said and done. If you're, it's about where you place it in the draft. Where do you place defensive value? But to me, if I'm talking about somebody being one of the best defenders in the NBA, I think you did okay at the 4th pick. Right now, that's what Isaac Okoro is hanging his hat on at the 5th pick, and I don't think anybody's begrudging that pick for the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. So I'm okay on P. Will. I need to see more from him offensively, more aggression, but he's 20. He's so young, and he came from a system in Florida State where literally y'all ever seen the TikTok "Everybody Eats B"? Legitimately, look at the stat line from Florida State. Everybody eats B. It's 10 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists for the whole team.
These are facts. You've just dropped a bunch of facts, and hey, there's nothing left to be said with that. People have to be patient with Patrick Williams, and I get it. Everybody just wants to see the final product so soon. But hey, all I can say is, you remember players like Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne was out of the NBA. People thought that he was terrible. Now look at how he's contributing to a.
He was.
He absolutely was terrible.
Listen, I watched him in person. He was. Yeah. But he left the NBA, came back, turned into a great player, worked with Chris Paul. Shout out to him. He was.
Yeah, he was definitely.
Let's keep it on it. He was.
Yeah. Let's get into this next voicemail.
Let's do it.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Oswaldo from Aurora. I'm going to keep this short. Just finished watching the Bulls Knicks play. Extremely frustrated. And I want to hear your feedback on a few things that I noticed in the game. Number one, why does Zach LaVine take such difficult shots when he has 4 other players that he can ditch out to? Number two, DeMar DeRozan needs to pass the ball as well. He's no longer shooting over 50% of his, no longer making 50% of his field goals. And he also has like 3 or 4 other guys that are open most of the time, or he can ditch it out to Booch. It's just like really frustrating that he's taking those difficult shots, both of them, Zach and DeMar. It makes me feel like they're trying to chase the high scoring that they had the first half of the NBA season. They don't have to do that. They have players that they can ditch out to. Another thing I noticed that's frustrating, they cannot defend the three-point line. That's crazy. Why don't they learn how to defend the three-point line? Why is that so difficult? Another one, why isn't Patrick Williams playing more minutes? They needed length. They needed rebounding against the Knicks. He was not in there enough. Another frustrating thing, Caruso, why is he, I know he's a defensive specialist, but why isn't he looking for a shot a little bit more? All right, well, I hope to hear from you. Maybe you can help me answer a few of these frustrations. Have a good one, and go Bulls, even though we're in a terrible, terrible slump. Go Bulls anyway.
Hey, shout out, was it Oswaldo?
Yeah, clearly he left that after the Knicks game. So we got a solid win since then. Hopefully, Oswaldo, your spirits are lifted a little bit further up. But hey, listen, I said most of what he said. Like that Patrick Williams not playing when we needed length. I know that was my biggest sticking point after the Knicks game.
Yes.
Pat, what do you think about that voicemail?
Listen, the P. Will, why wasn't P. Will playing more? Don't know. He did play more since then. So I think that question got answered for you. Why isn't Zach LaVine taking or passing more? Zach LaVine's trying to prove at times where it might be a struggle that he is the reason that all these players are here. And I think we see him forcing the issue sometimes. And the thing that you have to look at about Zach LaVine is that when he's making shots, they're still difficult shots. He's just a really good shot maker when they're difficult shots. And you also, with both of them, right? With DeMar, I think a little bit more because DeMar kind of plays that, he gets his offense started a lot of times off of that pick and roll. But when you look at DeMar, when you look at Zach, when you look at Vooch, who did we want them to pass to? We saw that Washington game. They finally started knocking down shots. Hey, guess what? I'm going to pass you the ball. Who's the best chance for us to make a shot? If Kobe White's off, Kobe White's off. It's awful. We've seen that, right? Like, if Kobe White's off, please bench him. Like, I'm legit to the point where I'm like, listen, I don't like Matt Thomas, but I'd rather see Matt Thomas out there because at least you're putting somebody out there that might make shots because Kobe White's not making shots right now. So, like, you don't have a ton of offense to look to this team. So, for me, I think that a lot of times they get wrapped up in the fact that, hey, I'm the best chance for this team to win, and they don't pass the ball then. What I would like to see, though, to Oswaldo's point, is them move the ball around to the point where they find themselves a good shot, which I think you saw more last night versus the Wizards.
For sure. Yeah. Listen, this team pass up good shots to get great shots, right?
Yeah.
That is the key. That is one of the key standards in the NBA. And I think we're slowly seeing, it hasn't been there yet, right? Maybe earlier in the season, but we're starting to see some signs that maybe we're trying to get back there overall as a team. Let's hope that they do that. Let's hope that they take those steps and they can be in a better position. Listen, they got 5 straight games at home.
Yeah.
They need to take advantage of these. Period.
100%.
Period. All right, we got our last voicemail. This one's for Marvin.
Hey, what's going on, Haize? Pat,
Marvin.
First, I want to say, short and sweet, Haize. You ain't got to worry. First, I want to say, Bulls been losing. We all know that. We can't get those games back, guys. So let's look forward. Here's the deal. We got 4 straight road games coming up. New Orleans, Cleveland, New York, and Washington. This New Orleans game is very important. We need this game because Cleveland is playing Toronto tonight. If we win this game, we pick up a whole game on one and keep our distance from the other. Also, if we can avoid this play-in, I think we'll be all right. The play-in starts on April 12th. The season ends on April 10th. We don't need that because we need the rest. if we can avoid the play-in, the playoffs start on the 16th. That's a whole week rest. We need that. So maybe we can get Lonzo back. Maybe we can get rested and get ready for the playoffs. I'm not saying that we're doing very well, but we can't get the games back that we lost. Let's look forward and try to get through the rest of this stretch on top. Listen, let's do the best we can, guys. And don't forget, out of all this everybody's talking about, at the end of the year, only one city's going to be happy, one team's going to be happy. Not two, not three, but one. So if we don't win it, it's going to be a whole lot of other people that's upset also. So let's try to get these games down the stretch. Take care, guys.
First of all, I call Marvin the motivator. He tries his best to look at everything from the positive side. And I
love Marv, bro. First off, Marv, no shout out, bro. Like, you call in my show all the time, bro. No shout out like that.
He said Haize and Pat.
Did he? I didn't hear Pat. I just heard Haize.
Yeah, he said Haize and Pat.
Okay, hey, listen, I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm gonna have to re-listen to it when we drop the video, bro. I didn't hear my name. You know what I'm saying? Marv, you know I love you, baby. The phones ain't been up because the computer is new. You got to set up a whole new system. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get back to you, Marv. No, Marv is you are 100% right, bro. Marv is one of the, if y'all don't know, man, shout out to Marv. Marv is out in Dallas. Marv is one of the best callers you're ever gonna hear after a loss, because Marv is gonna call in and be like, you know what? Hey, it's going to be all right, boys. You know, we expected this. I got one call for Marv in the time he's been calling. Well, Marv was legitimately pissed. And I said, you know what? That means it's time for me to turn up in this one.
There you go. There you go.
Shout out Marv, man.
I love Marv, man. Like he calls in, he breaks it down. Like he gets to what he needs to say, man. And he always tries to look on the brighter side of things.
Yes.
What I will say, Marv, is that hopefully, like with the first caller, that the recent win has gotten your spirits a little bit higher up. Let's see what this Bulls team does in the last few games that we have at home. Hopefully we can finish the season out strong. But, you know, Marv says that there's only one team that can win all this. I understand that. I hear that. And the positive side of Haize on this shoulder wants to be like, yeah, you know what? You're right. And then the other side of my shoulder wants to be like, yeah, I hear all that. But no, I want it. So like it is what it is.
How you lose. It's about how you lose, right? Like how many people in here, let's be real, show of hands, Bulls fans, how many people in here felt bad when the Bulls lost in 7 to the Celtics, who went on to win the NBA championship?
Oh, none.
I love that team. I love that season. You know what else I love? I love that playoff series. We lost in the first round. It's about how you lose. Yeah. If the Bulls lose how they've been getting beaten, guess what? I'm going to be a little bit pissed. I'm going to be a little bit upset. I'm going to be a little bit perturbed. You know why? Because you're supposed to be a better team than you are, and you got your head kicked in. If you fight to the last breath, that Bulls team fought to the very last breath. Legitimately, what are we talking about? The last 4 minutes of the game got away from them in that game 7. Okay, you lost to a better team that went on to win the NBA championship that season. I have no gripes about that season. I have no gripes about that season with the We Believe Bulls that end up beating the Miami Heat. And guess what? They lose in the next round. We beat the NBA champions. We're on our way to the right process. We weren't, but still, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's about how you lose, not if you lose. If you lose fighting to the last breath, I'm fine with it. But we've gotten our heads kicked in by some of these better teams. We've legitimately looked up and been like, please, no more. And they were like, hold on, I got one more for you. Keep going with it. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to see a little bit more from this team. And I think we saw that in the last game. Let's hope it carries over into this Clippers game and through the rest of this homestand.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's it. That's it for today. One thing though, let's hope in tomorrow's episode we're talking about a Bulls dub. Let's hope. We gotta talk about a dub. Let's hope.
We right back. If you come out, it's about how you lose again. If you compete all the way and Paul George beats you, all right.
Yeah.
If you get your head kicked in by the freshly back Paul George, we're gonna have a conversation.
There you go. There you go. And it remains to be seen. Pat, go ahead and give him social media, man. Let's get up out of here.
Hey, man, y'all follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. That's PATTHEDESIGNER. Yes, I did go to public school, but they taught me how to spell.
You can follow me at CEO Haize, at CEO Haize. Also, you can follow us collectively at Locked On Bulls. And thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen for today. Make your next listen the Locked On Now podcast with nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. But that's it. JV, we out.
JV with a dub. Y'all